The Minnesota Vikings are breaking the NFL. This is the best story in football right now. They're 5-0. They're coming off of a nice win over the Jets. This Vikings team, they're thriving. They're getting it done on both sides of the ball, and this is a bunch that believes. And the Minnesota Vikings, they lead atop of a very competitive NFC North. I mean, you look at the NFC North, all four teams are above 500, shaping up to being the best division in all football for this season. But the Vikings, they look to be that team. I mean, the undefeated Minnesota Vikings, get this, guys, have trailed for a total of 3 minutes and 26 seconds this season. And if you ask how good that is, I mean, since the NFL-AFL merger in 1970, only 4 teams have spent less time trailing through 5 weeks. And here's the fascinating part about that. Every team that has trailed for as little time as the Vikings have through 5 games has gone on to appear in the Super Bowl. So, Vikings fans, I don't want to talk about the Super Bowl just yet, but man, that is a staggering stat to have in your corner. In this one, though, I do want to talk about the Minnesota Vikings and what this team is doing. Drop a like on the video, guys. Subscribe to the channel for more info content over here on Red Zone Rosano. You look at the Vikings, guys, after 5 games, only 5 teams average more points than Minnesota. And you look at their star receiver, Justin Jefferson. He is 3rd in the league when it comes to receiving yards at 450. But you look at O'Connell, I mean, he acknowledged that their offense had to lean on their defense on Sunday as the Vikings, they failed to score a touchdown in the second half. However, that defense came to play. They restricted the Jets to just 36 rushing yards. They hit Rodgers 11 times. They made life difficult for him. And for just the 6th time in his career, Rodgers was intercepted 3 times in a game. The Minnesota defense did just that. And you look at this defense, it's the 2nd best in the NFL for both turnovers with 13 and average rushing yards conceded at 67.2. And you look at what's going on right now, you know, defensive coordinator Brian Flores, he's doing a fabulous job. And this defense has really turned it up a notch. So the defense been playing really well. Now let's talk about the job that Sam Darnold has done. I think Sam Darnold deserves a lot of credit. And I mean, this is just an amazing story. As you look at McCarthy's injury, it meant that Sam Darnold would begin the season as the starting quarterback for the first time in 3 years. And we all know about the rough patches he had. You know, the Jets selected Darnold with the 3rd overall pick in 2018. It did not turn out well at all. He was traded in 2020, and then he was discarded by the Carolina Panthers before becoming the San Francisco's backup last season. And the fact that Darnold has gone through the career that he's had and he found himself in this spot, that's a lot of adversity. I mean, everybody would lose confidence in themselves if you are this highly regarded QB. You come into the league, you don't get off to the best start, you're kind of passed around like a baton because essentially nobody wants you or nobody wants to play you in a prominent role. And then you come to Minnesota, again, not expected to be the starter, but under the circumstances that presented themselves, you get this opportunity. I mean, he's made the most out of this opportunity, filling a massive, massive void. And the mindset that he has displayed has just been unbelievable. I mean, the Vikings, it all stems from Darnold. And you see it. The confidence is oozing, the work ethic. And Darnold, you know, this is a guy who has illustrated that he can be a good enough quarterback to lead this Vikings team to great heights this season. You look at him, he had a quiet game, 14 of 31, 179 yards, 1 INT, but he's had some pretty big games. And the fact that the Vikings still win this game, even though their offense got very, very quiet in the second half, this is just a complete team. They have the offensive capability where they can go out there and just put up a ton of points on the board, as we've seen so far this season. But then in this game against the Jets, they relied on their defense, and that defense won them the game. But the Vikings, you know, they put up 31 in Green Bay, 34 in Houston. They beat the Niners. This is a team that they can turn it up a notch when they need to. But Minnesota, this is a very good team, guys. They're well coached. They're believing. They're playing well on both sides of the ball. And right now, they are 5-0. The Minnesota Vikings, who would have thought, going into their October 20th matchup against the Lions, because they are going to be on the bye week, they're going to be 5-0. And speaking of that matchup, that is going to be massive, man. We all want to see it because a lot of people still believe the Lions are the best team in the division in the NFC. Well, that's an opportunity for the Vikings to continue to make a statement and beat Detroit, the team that won the division, the team that was so close to getting to the Super Bowl. This is the Vikings' opportunity, and I think this is huge for the Vikings to go out there and win that football game, because I know there's a lot of people that believe, but there are still a lot of non-believers. A lot of people still believe that the Vikings are a flash in the pan. This is not sustainable. I tell you what, if they can beat Detroit at home, making an early season statement, that is going to sway a lot of people who are not Vikings believers right now. But this is a good sample size, and it's not like the Vikings have beaten terrible teams. You talk about who the Vikings have beaten: the Giants, who have looked a lot better lately, the 49ers, the Texans, they whooped the Texans, the Packers, who look like a really good team in the NFC right now, and then the Jets. I know the Jets, people are saying Rodgers has done all this, but the Jets are still regarded as one of the top teams in the AFC. So the Vikings have not only remained perfect, but they have done it against good competition. So that tells you something. But that matchup against the Lions, it's going to be massive. You definitely don't want to miss it. But Vikings fans, let me know your thoughts, your reaction. What has impressed you the most about this football team? Is it the offense? Is it the defense? Is it collectively? I really like the coaching. Let me know your thoughts, guys. Drop a like on the video, subscribe to the channel if you're new. That is it for me. This is Lucas signing off. Until next time, I will catch you all again in the next one.